for 2 separate meetings. So we're really glad to have you today. Our first order of business is going to be going through our ReThink agenda. So our ReThink Folly Road committee members that are here, I'm going to ask that you please stand and introduce yourself, and then we'll move into the ReThink agenda. That way I can, we have to approve minutes and do some business there. And then I'll turn it over to Ms. Parker to run our intergovernmental meeting. At this time, though, I would like to ask Mr. Ladman and everyone to stand. He's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Members of ReThink Folly Road, would you please stand and one at a time just introduce yourself, and we'll get started with our agenda. Katie.
Katie Zimmerman, Executive Director of California. I'm Beth Saunders, and I represent the citizens of Folly.
I'm Bill Woolsey. I'm mayor of the town of James Island.
Fred Whittle, I'm a business member of the committee.
Caroline Parker, City of Charleston Councilwoman here on James Island.
Great. Nikki, do we have anyone online just for ReThink?
You have Spencer Wetmore and Cynthia Mignano.
Representative Wetmore and Cynthia Mignano from the town of James Island are joining us by Zoom as well. So do I have a motion to entertain the minutes of March of our previous meeting? March 1st. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Any revisions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Our phase 1 project update from Sheila Parker. Is she here? Yeah, there you go. Please,
Yeah,
thank you.
okay. So phase 1 update, with a project like this, we have 4 main components. We have the engineering permitting, the utility coordination, and the right-of-way acquisition and construction. So I think I reported last time that the engineering and permitting phase was complete. We've got that wrapped up. The one last thing we coordinated is with the city. We want to connect our sidewalk with the Brantley Park path. You know, that's a big milestone to have that completed for a project this big. So really next we want to focus on the utility coordination. We have a report finalized and ready that was submitted to the DOT office. They reviewed it. They like it. They had 2 minor comments for us. And once we turn that around, we should have that for approval. So really that's just to make sure we've done our due diligence. We know where our utilities are moving because of the project. So we're almost close with that one. Right-of-way acquisition, that's kind of the big ticket item that's left on the table still. We're really going to focus on this one. We've identified 50 parcels that we need permissions or right-of-way from. We have 30 secured, so that leaves us with 20 that we need to make offers on or continue our negotiations on. I did speak with Oscar, our right-of-way agent at Michael Baker. He has assured me that we will wrap this up in 60 days. So that's kind of a hard deadline we're giving him, and that way we don't have this phase of the project delaying us any longer than that. So 60 days, and then we should be ready to advertise for construction. The county usually advertises for a month. With all that being said, we advertise this summer, we advertise for a month. Realistically, we probably won't start construction until the end of summer. Any questions?
Any steering committee members have questions about the project or where we are? Great. Thank you so much, Sheila. For guests who are here and who may not know, our ReThink Folly Road was started several years ago. We have federal funding approved for that to enhance the safety and mobility along the Folly Road corridor. Phase 1 is from about where Lowe's is up to where Walmart is on Folly Road. And so we're working through that. So as Sheila just said, starting in the fall, we'll start beginning construction on better sidewalks and bike paths. So we're really excited about that. Along those lines, if you want to learn more, you're invited to the ReThink Folly Social on May 10th. That's 5:30, going to be at Martin's Barbecue. And so there'll be lots of information out there and activities for kids and all. We did this a couple years ago. It's a huge success. So we hope to see everybody out there. All right, moving on to item number 4, updates from various jurisdictions. County, Alex, do you want to start?
Sure, I can give our updates for all, which is one. Good evening, council members. My name is Alex Ozak, engineering manager for capital project in Tulsa County, and just want to provide a brief update on some projects we're working on here on James Island. First, we are rural roads program. That's all roads here. We've got Raphael and Donnie Lane, as well as Harshburn Road, which are all currently in right-of-way acquisition process. We've got Jeff Galliard Lane, we just received some updated design revisions due to some reluctance from our property owner to provide the right-of-way need for a cul-de-sac at the end of the road. And then lastly, Rosebush Lane, where the final design is currently in progress, and permitting and right-of-way acquisition is following. Next would be the Maybank Highway and Woodland Shores Complete Streets project. It's going to construct approximately 4,800 linear feet of 8-foot concrete sidewalk along the east side of Woodland Shores from Riverland Drive to Maybank Highway, and then continue along another 700 linear feet of concrete sidewalk along Maybank Highway to Stedman Drive. This project will also construct a mid-block crossing on Maybank with pedestrian activated rapid rectangular flashing beacons to alert vehicular traffic to pedestrians, along with a raised concrete median to provide a refuge area. This project is currently in environmental permitting stage, and permitting is anticipated to be completed by the end of summer. Right now, we're scheduled to advertise by the end of 2023 for bids, with construction start in early 2024. Next is our Central Park and Riverland Drive project, which will construct a variable width shared use path about 8 to 10 feet wide along the West Riverland Drive from the intersection of Woodland Shores Road to the entrance to the Low Country Senior Center. Painted crosswalk with, again, pedestrian activated rapid rectangular flashing beacons will be provided at the intersections with Woodland Shores and Central Park, along with painted crosswalks at all the side road crossings. Currently, we are working on right-of-way plans. It's submittal to the SCDOT scheduled to occur next month. This project is scheduled to be advertised for bids in early 2024, with construction to start in spring 2024. Next is our Central Park drainage project, which seeks to improve the overall drainage for about a 500-acre Central Park drainage basin area to alleviate the frequent flooding that occurs. The county is working on a design update to some culverts underneath Central Park Road, replacing those culverts with triple 40-inch culverts to improve the flow. Currently, this project is going through the environmental permitting process, working with regulatory agencies on approval of a tide gate we're working on to help stop the flow of water from extreme high tides flowing back underneath Central Park Road. To date, for this project, we've utilized about $250,000 in CPP funds for design and permitting. However, we did just learn this week that we received the South Carolina Infrastructure and Investment Program that provided the county a $3.4 million grant, which will help on the construction effort for this project. Next is the Camp Road sidewalk and Riverland Drive multi-use path, which this project is actually currently under construction right now. And will provide a 6-foot sidewalk along the south side of Camp Road from Riverland Drive down to the Camp Road Middle School, along with the 10-foot multi-use path along Riverland Drive from the Camp Road roundabout up to the Low Country Senior Center. Portion of the sidewalk in front of the Camp Road Middle School was completed during their spring break. Construction has been up in there, so on hold until May 31st. This is to protect the endangered food stool species. And then construction of the project is scheduled to be completed by the the Riverland Drive multi-use path. This project will construct about 300 linear feet of 5-foot sidewalk from the entrance to Riverland Crossing neighborhood to connect with the existing sidewalk facilities at Riverland Camp Road roundabout. We're currently negotiating scope review for engineering consultant for the full design plans and expect to have those design plans by the year. The Folly Road bike improvements sheet, I kind of touched on this already earlier, so I'll speak over this. SCTOC crosswalk enhancements. This is actually looking at improved pedestrian access and safety at the intersection of Fort Johnson and Folly Road. We'll be adding painted crosswalks, ADA ramps, and pedestrian crossing signals with push button activation. This project is being combined with some other SCTOC crosswalk enhancement projects throughout the county
SCOT is overseeing advertising and construction of this project. We do not have a timeline yet for that advertising. For the Fort Johnson Road and Sissonville Road intersection, it's going to be improving that intersection by providing dedicated left turn lanes from Fort Johnson on to Sissonville Road and providing pedestrian crosswalks on all 4 legs of the intersection. To date, all the required right-of-way has been acquired. We're currently awaiting a SCDOT appropriate permit before we continue construction. We anticipate to advertise this project for bids probably within the next 60 days and construction start. Next is the Folly Road sidewalk, which will construct about 650 linear feet of 5-foot sidewalk along the east side of Folly Road, from Maybank Highway down to Standard Way. We are currently wrapping up work on right-of-way plans with submittal to the SCDOT next week or two for their review and approval. We anticipate doing the process that require the necessary property commissions this fall. For Folly Road and Country Club pedestrian improvements, we construct an 8-foot concrete multi-use path along the east side of Folly Road, from Tatum Street up to Country Club Drive, where it will then transition to a 5-foot concrete sidewalk along the south side of Country Club Drive to the pretty much the second gate of the plantation. And that's an existing raised crosswalk there. This project will also include painted crosswalks and pedestrian activated crossing on back intersections with Tatum Street and Country Club Drive. We are still working through the permitting process with the city and SCDOT. We anticipate advertising this project in the fall with construction underway. For the Silver sidewalk, this was to construct a 5-foot concrete sidewalk along Silver Road from Folly Road down to Silver Community Center on Chavez Road for a length of approximately 1 mile. In order to construct this project in the existing right of way, we're looking to relocate roadside ditches that either need to be located behind the sidewalk or piped in order to construct this project in the existing right of way. Piping those ditches will constantly increase cost significantly to about $1.8 million, which far exceeds our current plan. In an attempt to reduce the project cost, we have been reaching out to impacted landowners about donating the right of way that is required to relocate those ditches. To date, we've about half of the impacted landowners have indicated their willingness to donate the right of way. We are currently working to explore some additional funding opportunities outside of the CPC program that would help fund this project. Next, for the Camp Road and Fort Johnson intersection, we're looking to reconstruct this intersection with an urban compact roundabout to help improve safety and traffic flow. Right-of-way plans are recently submitted to SCDOT for their review and approval. We anticipate receiving that approval around the end of May, beginning the right-of-way acquisition process shortly thereafter. Meantime, we have started some early coordination with our right-of-way consultant, consisting of some property research and appraisals for our owners. The current schedule for this project has us going to be for phase 3, the Hills Bluff sidewalk, will construct about 1,600 linear feet of 5-foot asphalt sidewalk along the west side of Hills Bluff Road, Seaside Lane, London Drive. Right now, we're just receiving final plans and permits from the town in the next week or so, and advertising this project for construction in the fall. Next is the Municipal Golf Course crossing. For this project here, we're going to be installing a hawk signal, which is a high-intensity activated crosswalk used to stop the road traffic as needed to allow pedestrians and golfers and golf carts to cross safely. This will also include the realignment of the entrance to the course and the adjoining sidewalk. Sign work on this project has just started, with survey collection anticipated to start next month. We should have preliminary plans ready for review by this fall. And then lastly, going over some pavement maintenance projects here on James Island. Got quite a list here of different roads that want to be getting resurfacing. Stephen Drive was resurfaced this week. All resurfacing and should be completed by the end of this year. We do have resurfacing plan maps available on the county website and roads.county.org. And last but not least, talking about some rejuvenation work we're doing on existing pavements throughout the area. Against the preventive maintenance to kind of the lane aging process of asphalt pavements. We actually started work on this list last fall. We had to pause in the winter to the temporary requirements. However, we're starting to work back on this next week and should complete the remaining roadways in the next 6 months. And with that, any questions?
Before we move on, this is why we kind of combine these meetings, this county had so much to put in on both ReThink and this one. As far as ReThink goes, does any committee member have any questions about the ReThink update at this point? And do we have any other, thank you, Caroline, do we have city update on that one?
On ReThink?
Yes,
Sure, well.
question, update,
Yeah,
I'll turn it over.
I have Michael here as well, right?
Okay.
James, I'm sorry.
Jenny, I have a question.
I can hear, is that Spencer?
Yeah, is it possible to distribute that slideshow to those of us on Zoom? I just wasn't able to see the slides.
I don't know that we'll get it right now, but we will circulate.
No,
the
no,
slides
just
to everyone.
whenever. Yeah, like at the end of the tomorrow, whenever. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Phase 1 funding, fully funded, correct?
Of ReThink.
Of ReThink.
Yes, I think we're done with funding on it. We're just waiting on right away.
Okay, all right, perfect. So sure, just on the TST applications, I believe that we did submit, I mean, we've made a lot of submittals for phase 2 from the city. But obviously we know that phase 2 funding is going to be, you know, a challenge. So a couple of things. I mean, I know I'm going to continue to work with the city, state, and federal lobbyists. I know there's infrastructure coming out, you know, of Washington, I spoke with the Berkeley, Charleston, Dorchester Council of Governments as well to kind of re-engage them and begin the discussions to set, you know, just help us find this money, really. There's an SS4A grant, but Safe Streets for All grant program. And our grant writer, you know, the city is hoping to submit something for that, but the COG has to adopt a safety action plan for the region before we can apply for that capital funding. So I think that's in the works, but that could take a year or two. So, but it's still a possibility, and it's certainly something we'll continue to work for. I've also just recently found something with the National League of Cities. It's just a capstone challenge. It's really not a funding opportunity. It's just sort of a pro bono support from NLC and a corporate partner just to kind of help with innovative public-private partnerships and to just discuss. It's a great program, and the city's traffic and transportation team was happy to get involved, and the mayor as well. So my final comment would be the city's traffic and transportation committee is meeting May 9th at 3 p.m. And we will be discussing ReThink Folly Road again. So feel free to join or comment or watch, but we hope to have some members from the COG, maybe some of y'all will join us as well. Really just to really re-engage the city and just make sure we might have new members. I mean, I'm fairly new, so just having a brief update for the city to understand what's going on with ReThink Folly, I think is important. So, yeah.
Katie, did you have a question?
I did, the COG safety action plan, what? Hey, Kyle, I know it wasn't selected for a grant. Okay, so you're reapplying to do the safety action plan. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from committee members on that? Any other jurisdictional updates for ReThink Folly? Yes, city.
I'm David Wells with the city, traffic operations manager. Just a couple of things that come through TRC I want to give updates on. So the Starbucks on Folly Road is expanding a drive-through. They're eliminating parking and expanding the drive-through. They're going to have almost double the drive-through capacity. I know we've all noticed the drive-through kind of queuing back on Folly Road. So that's gone through TRC first review with a couple of comments outstanding, but it'll probably have to come through one more time and then be permitted ready for construction. 345 Folly, a Dairy Queen came through with a pre-app, so that's where the old subway is. They're looking at a Dairy Queen there. And the last thing is the Goddard School is applying through the pre-app process as well to put in a daycare at 1137 Folly Road. So that's the parcel that's just north of that strip mall, Garage 75 and Lakes and all that. So all those parcels will be required to do the multi-use path and all those things consistent with the zoning of Folly Road.
Thank you.
You have questions?
Yes. Sir, this question is addressed to you. I'd like you to revisit the Folly project for consider so that it's Seamus, who's the president of the Solid community. She may want to add a few things and update that you may have.
Well, Mr. Lyson, we're gonna take that up in our intergovernmental meeting because we'll stick with our, we gotta I'm gonna close this agenda and like here. He will. That's why we're all here together. But Ms. Chavis, thank you for being here. We're gonna address that. Chavis, yes, ma'am. All right, if there are no other jurisdictional updates on ReThink, yes, Ms.
I
Temple.
just had a question, with the Starbucks situation, you're expanding it, so it's gonna be drive-through only. What about customers who wanna just come in and, get a coffee? They no longer.
It's not gonna be drive-through only, there will be parking provided, it's gonna be centralized because ever since COVID, the demand based on stats and data that they're taking. It's mostly been drive-through customers, so they're just rearranging the site in a way that will reduce the amount of parking stations, but still be able to accommodate customers in store while providing more drive-through.
That's Honeycutt, Chairwoman Honeycutt.
Yes, Ms. And I apologize, Senator, it's a little bit hard to hear you, so I'm listening.
I'm sorry. Is there any update on the Chick-fil-A? I'm starting to get a lot of moms.
Good question.
Is it a permitting or a construction issue?
Town. Any update on Chick-fil-A?
I will keep the update.
Town, Kristen?
1 week.
1 week, Spencer, they said 1 week.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Katie.
So the Starbucks, they are gonna have to do their multi-use pass with the changes and everything.
I'll have to check on the Starbucks, I'm not sure because it's a redevelopment.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're over that criteria. No, I think I'd go with Kate.
okay. And I know the Dairy Queen's pushing back. They don't want to do their path, so. Yeah, they have to go through design review board in case anybody's interested in that.
Yes, so for those who may be wondering what we're talking about, there's an overlay district in this area as well. So all jurisdictions are supposed to abide by the same standard. When we upgrade or redevelop a parcel, they're supposed to bring it up to the same sidewalk standards, same multi-use path standards, so that we have a consistent flow throughout instead of stop and start sidewalks. But that's a process with individual business owners. So hopefully Dairy Queen will see the importance of mobility and safe roads. Okay. All right. I think that does it for ReThink Folly Road. So I am going to adjourn our meeting and let Caroline take over intergovernmental. Yes.
I'm Bob Brown, first name.
Hi.
I really want to ask a question.
Do we have public? Can we, did you sign up for public comment?
No, I didn't.
That's okay. Yes, ma'am. We're actually going to move into public comment during intergovernmental, and everybody here that signed up, we're going to move into those public comments. But I'm going to yield my time over to Caroline, who chairs intergovernmental. You're fine. Thank you so much for your patience. We're done.
Thank you.
If you are here just for ReThink Folly Road, you are excused, and anyone who's here on intergovernmental that sits on our council is welcome to join us up here. You may want to introduce the councilors.
Okay, thank you for coming. Yes.
Yes. Come on, Troy, there's seats up here.
This is the thing.
Come on, Gary. Oh my gosh, I know. Lord have mercy. I could think. Okay. That's it. Ready?
Oh,
Your
sure.
turn.
Everyone ready? Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming to our James Island Intergovernmental Council meeting. I will call this meeting to order. We have already said the Pledge of Allegiance. If you want, I would love to take a moment of silence. If everyone just wants to reflect for a minute, for a moment of prayer, and we can get started. Amen. All right, Mayor Woolsey, would you mind introducing the council?
Well, let's all members of the council please stand and we will introduce ourselves. So
Councilwoman Caroline Parker
Parker.
from the city of Charleston.
who was our earlier chairwoman, Bill Woolsey, Mayor Town of James Island.
George Wilkin, Councilman, James Island.
Carol Temple, School Board, District 9.
Kathy Woolsey, James Island Public Service District, Commissioner Chair.
Ron Lassie, Commissioner.
Jenny Honeycutt, Charleston County Council, District 9.
Troy Mullinax, James Island Town Council.
And we also have several people online that you can't see. Again, Cynthia Mignano, Commissioner Susan Milliken is online, Dudley Gregory and Brenda Grant, as well as Spencer Retmore and Ross Appel.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the January
So
25th
moved.
minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we will have time for public comment. I know there was a little confusion at our last meeting. Public comment is really what it says it is, public comment. It's really not a question and answer time. I'm sure if there are questions afterwards, we're happy to answer them, but please just utilize this time as, to make a comment, and we'll hopefully answer what you need in the meeting, but, all right, so first on the list was a Geraldine Singleton. Okay. Sure, please, wherever you're comfortable.
Good evening, everyone. And my name is Geraldine Sherry Singleton, and I live on Salisbury Road, and many of you know me or seen me or heard me speak about the sidewalk on Salisbury Road. That's been pressing for 30 years, and we just don't want to wait another 30 more years for the sidewalk. Like you mentioned, we had 50%.
Of the landowners so far have indicated partner.
So my question is, what is that? What do you need to do? If the other percentage that they not going to, will you do that? To be on them paying? Really, what do you do?
I know, ma'am. I know, I know you have questions. I know it's just for us to get into the business of the meeting. If we could, I certainly think that those are questions that we can answer after or contact council members. But I think if you put those questions out there, someone will get back to you to answer.
Sure. Because of the accidents and people who take care of it. Sidewalk is one major. Fire hydrants. And then familiar with the historical Mesquite Beach hotel that burned down because there were no fire hydrants down there. Salisbury Road, so and also street lights. Those are the three major things we're concerned about in Salisbury right now. But the key thing right now is the sidewalk. So that can be all of that. But in terms of funding, what do we need to do? How do we get the funds? Another 30 years?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Ms. Barker.
I apologize.
Please don't apologize. Thank you for being here.
Good. My name is Bob Goss, and I'm the president of Person Village Neighborhoods. And as I sat here and watched DOT and the city and the county go over everything that is planned, I did not hear any mention of the Overland Drive corridor and what plans you have for that. Now, years ago, we did a survey, had a survey come up, spent all that money, made all those plans about putting a sidewalk down Overland Drive, a bicycle path on the other side of Riverland Drive, where the Will Sanctuary, where the James Island County Park is. And for some reason, all of this has been thrown out or people have forgotten about it. I live in a predominantly Black community. And I have to be honest with you right now, because I'm fighting with my neighbors also. I feel like in the county of Charleston, but in the city also. And I feel like my community is just there and forgotten. We like to see or have some action or some improvement along the line. The ditches are filthy, SDOT came through the other day and they're repaved, that's fine. Through our community streets, and I know that's a city issue, I have requested for them to come through and fix our drainage pipes. That has not been done. I requested to have, for our drainage issue, because we're in a slope. We are in the middle of Roland Crossing, Bishop Gaston, and Meridian Place. And Chipley County, we sit in the middle. We have nowhere our water to go. Nobody's doing anything. You've been fighting everything. We've been fighting for it. Every time I speak to my mayor, I speak to city council, I ask these same questions. What's happening? Have we been forgotten because we are a predominantly Black community? No, it's situation in Ferguson Village. We need sidewalks, sidewalks coming from Folly Road up to the roundabout, and then to Roland Crossing. And it stops. What is that doing for our community? Nothing. How is that improving our community? Absolutely. The trees on River Drive is very dangerous. I got that somebody's attention before. There's a big old tree in front of my house and the limbs continue to fall. Those trees are falling all down River Drive and forth and forth. I don't know whether anybody is paying the attention to the fact that on that side of River Drive, the elevation has dropped. And you can tell by the way the trees are. That's an environmental issue for us. We need to keep the water in the stone river. We don't want the water in Meridian Place for Roland Crossing for Ferguson Village or the other communities. I don't think we need to do something. We need to reconsider what we're doing and do something about it. Please, but roundabout there, I didn't do that yet, I was gonna do it. The traffic, the speed limit is 35 miles. When you go to that roundabout, nobody slows down. When you're coming up to that roundabout, I think the speed limit should drop to 15. That's just my opinion now. Because people come through this so fast. Traffic's backed up all the time because everybody's afraid to go through.
Thank you as well.
One thing.
Okay, one more thing.
Riverland Drive and Second Park Road, that's another big issue for us. Years ago, Mayor Ryan, they were supposed to be a traffic light. Then we came up with the zoning law. Then we went back to the traffic light. Now where are we with that? Those are questions I got answered. Okay, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for
thanks so
coming.
much.
Thank you for coming. Mr. O'Neill Sneed? Yes.
Apologize in advance, I won't be here. I was waiting for that, compared to our last speaker. Mayor Woolsey, like the members of the council, other staff, thank you for being here. My name is Neil Sneed. I represent the Riverland Terrace Neighborhood Association on the north side of Maybank at the far end of the island. Many of you might know my predecessor, Troy Miller, in Bottom Local in high school. I took over for him back in November. So for those of you who don't know, our neighborhood consists of about 800 homes And I counted yesterday 38 local businesses that are open to the public, so not like locally owned shops, but actual restaurant, shopping, dining. And I don't mean that as a brag, I just mean to say that as we have a lot of engaged people that love walking, biking. It's a very vibrant corridor. But with that, we also have our multi-jurisdictional, let's say, issues. So I figured I would come here and just introduce myself. Should anyone from my organization be reaching out to you, you can put a name to the face, or if I can help any of our leaders here try to accomplish anything, I'm certainly happy to do it. Katie, nice to see you. Secondly, while I'm here anyway, I wanted to bring one issue to everyone's attention that, again, is multi-jurisdictional. Golfview Drive was talked about back in, I think, 2020, in terms of what to do about people using it as a frontage road. And that's to, instead of making a left on Riverland Drive, you're going towards John's or Maybank, people take Golfview, which goes along the 10th hole there, and then simply cross the Riverland. But honestly, it's the safest passage. However, everyone that lives on Golfview is concerned about speed. It's a curved road, so line of sight is an issue. The DOT recently paved it this last week, so the residents there are even more concerned now that while it's nice and bikeable and walkable and beautiful, people are going to go even faster. So not here to ask questions, but just point out that several of the residents, maybe even today, have started setting up a video again to try to do some speed calming. I realize that traffic speeding, safety in general, is probably the number one complaint of any residential neighborhood. So I don't expect there to be any sort of snowball effect. And other people in our neighborhood try to get it on their street. I think it's a very unique situation that's definitely deserving of something to reduce their fears of getting people by cars. So thanks everyone for following this.
Thank you for coming. All right, would anyone else like to be heard? All right. Oh, I'm sorry.
Good evening, I'm sure longer. I had a chance to sign up early start work, but I have two concerns. One is the restaurant or cafe that's going to be at the corner on Folly Road near Brimble Road. Just want to know more about it. I did talk to John, I think he's part of the contractor, I'm not sure, in reference to about the restaurant and our concern off Ishmael Road is music loud. So from that, so just want to have more information in reference to that. And I believe there's Trumpet kind of being on May 1st in reference to that, but if there's anybody here that can add more information in reference to the restaurant. Second, being on Rumble Road, I called several times again. I think some of them called several times. I was told, okay, we're short-handed, will be there around James Allen Elementary School. There is a sidewalk, however, you can't walk on it because the trees are growing over things. So me, myself personally, I don't want to walk there because I'm not sure if it's snakes or anything, but that area needs to be maintained with the trees being overgrown. I called about the drainage again. We cleaned up on Rumble Road, and a lot of the cleanup that we did, we kind of did in there and got a lot of those leaves out of there. But still now is nothing. You call, they did the county, the city, they give you a runaround. Like they let me talk to that head first.
He's here. Philip Sexton. He can answer anybody with Jana's questions. Our liaison, they handle all jurisdictions. He asked me if there's anything you can do.
And those trees needs to be cut all around River Road. There's a sidewalk. What is the sidewalk that you can't walk into the?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for coming. All right. We don't have any old business, so moving on to new business, legislative updates. I'm not sure if Representative Wetmore wanted to share anything.
I was not planning on it, although we did have some great news from the ARPA funding, but I will defer to, it was not my agenda item, so I don't know if somebody else had put that on there. If not, I can do my very best.
Okay, did we have anyone else just the skip grant, but the ARPA fund, you're gonna get into that, right? Okay, Dave Schaefer's gonna take care of it. Thank you, Representative Wetmore. James Island Public Service District updates.
All right, so I'm Dave Schaefer. I'm the district manager for the James Island Public Service District. I have Tamara White here. She's the assistant district manager. And then Joe Marcinkus in the blue shirt back there. He's the wastewater director. And so we're going to be working on our project. We were awarded Monday $8.7 million associated with a public sewer expansion. And we are using that funding along with a $1 million earmark from the state, thanks to Spencer Wetmore. And we have a financial commitment from the town for $444,000, and CWS is committed to $85,000, and Charleston Water Keepers is throwing in $100. So we have a multi-regional approach to be able to sewer the Julian Clark neighborhood, the up on the Hill Road, and the Oak Point Road, and that's 199 properties. Approximately 167 are the JIPSC residents. Approximately 32 of those properties are the city, which is governed by CWS for sewer expansion. So this is the first time we're doing a multi-jurisdictional sewer expansion project funded by several entities. So we go on Wednesday, the 31st of May, and we are going to the Columbia Convention Center. Anybody who got a skip grant has to go there, and everybody's going to be asking, how do we get the money and when do we get the money, right? So we've been assigned a grant manager. I've already emailed, how do we get the money and when do we get the money? That's what everybody's asking. So hopefully, Mayor Tecklenburg reached out to me, said, hey, you guys got a skip grant. You want to do a James Island task force, water quality task force meeting. I said, make it after the 31st of May, and much more information to come. So what's going to happen is after we learn how and when we get the money, we're going to have public engagement sessions, and we're going to have to communicate in writing and in public forum format to be able to communicate to the 199 property owners. This is the plan. This is how it's funded. This is, how this is going to work. And so we've attended some of the meetings in Artillery Point that have been CWS driven for the sewer expansion over there. So we have some of those slides. We're using a similar format to be able to communicate to the residents as far as how that's going to go. So after the 31st of May, anybody in those three neighborhoods can expect a letter. We have wastewater committees coming up. We have wastewater committee meetings on the 22nd of May at 6:30 here at Town Hall. And then we have another wastewater committee meeting here on Monday, the 5th of June. Much more information to come on the skip grant, but we have really been at this for several years. As far as getting the grant funding, it's very exciting. We have the grant funding. There's a lot of familiar faces here for the James Island Water Quality Task Force. So that's the update. We have the funding. Now we have to figure out the how and the when. Basically, the deadline hasn't changed. We have to spend the money. All of the skip recipients have to spend the money by December of 2026. Our application's been in since September. So we're kind of chomping at the bit to get these contractors lined up, get the projects rolling, because if you look at those projects, there were 16 pages. The first 4+ pages are $10 million projects. We're at 8.7. There's a ton of money flooding in to the South Carolina economy right now. And so it's very important that we get these contractors lined up to be able to get everything rolling. We are still doing preliminary engineering, permitting, and surveying work. So we're lining up with the soft costs to be able to make that happen so that when we have the permitting, we'll be able to do that. All of those 199 properties are going to be directionally drilled. So what that helps us do is limit or reduce the amount of impact in the community where we're tearing up the roads and tearing up the sidewalks. We are the last utility going into those communities. You never want to be the last utility in, because you have all the other utilities ahead. That's just what it is. And so we're trying to limit the impacts to the other infrastructure and to the other utilities in that area. So much more information to come with that. But if anybody has any questions on that, skip grant, $8.7 million, we're very excited. The other major, we've had several community meetings, and most recently, it was the 17th of April, we were at Fire Station 2. If you have driven by Fire Station number 2, right on Harbor View and Michael Drive, across from the Presbyterian Church. And that was built in 1964. And a lot has changed on the island since 1964. And so that was protecting tomato fields in 1964. And now we have very high value homes, businesses over there. And right now, the commission has approved moving forward. We already have preliminary design done with Rosenblum Co. Architects. We have Bob George doing the civil engineering. And most recently, we onboarded J. Davis Construction as the construction manager at risk. And so we are working towards the replacement of Fire Station number 2. I will be at the Finance Committee meeting next Thursday, the 4th at County Council. The JIPSC Commission approved the petition and the resolution to move forward to petition County Council to approve $6.5 million worth of GO bonds to be able to move forward with the replacement of Fire Station number 2. And so if you drive by there and you see the one bay that was added on in the 1980s, it will be a complete demolition of that and a replacement where you will see 2 bays on Harbor View Road there. So that is the plan with Fire Station number 2. And that's all I have.
I do have a question. So, y'all know I was gonna questions. I got to speak up for our community, for all communities, especially the unincorporated. So basically, you said about the 3 communities that's going to be funded and assisted. And I applaud that, I'm fine for that. But what about the question I had before, the unincorporated areas, how are they going to be assisted? Because there are several communities, people that need assistance with their sewer to upgrade. But those 3 communities that you identified and others are being assisted. So what we gonna do, how are we gonna fix it?
And so the prior to the SCIP grant being available, the James Island Water Quality Task Force was formed to be able to reduce the clean up the James Island Creek. So all of those communities are adjacent to the creek because the creek was identified as an impaired waterway. And so those were prioritized. And obviously that is how we got the $1 million earmark from the state. Is you're not only talking about an infrastructure, you're talking about water quality and an environmental concern. And so that's why those communities were prioritized as far as being able to improve water quality along James Island Creek. If you just do the back of the napkin math, the $10.3 million divided by 199 properties is $52,000 per property. And it is very, very expensive to convert homes that are on septic onto public sewer. And so we're always looking for funding opportunities. Obviously, we have a lobbyist in Columbia trying to look at, okay, we didn't get both of our SCIP grants funded, so how do we line that up with non-recurring funds? When the state has a surplus in the budget, they don't fund programs, they fund one-time infrastructure projects, and kind of that's the next step, looking at different funding opportunities. But in the unincorporated county areas, the best way to look at it is how do you get the most density within those areas, because the longer you have to run pipe to it, obviously the more expensive it gets. And if there's only a few residents that are impacted, that's when those costs don't get split up as much. So that's why we looked at the most dense areas along the James Island Creek that were on septic, how to convert them onto sewer.
You may have to do a research in those, come up with a plan.
And I think, it sounds like the May 22nd meeting, those upcoming meetings that you mentioned may be a time to discuss some of that
Right.
further.
Okay.
That's the way I hear it. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a question about the public engagement element that you're planning. How many of those public engagement opportunities are you guys gonna have, and can they be beyond your standard PSC meetings? In other words, can you get into the neighborhoods where the people are, that you're gonna be improving their sewer in, and actually have meetings in their neighborhoods, places closer to home? You got almost 200 people there, and they're kind of spread out, and it would be probably a good idea to make it as easy as possible for them to get information about this very dramatic change to their property. So what is the plan? Is it going to be 3 meetings? Is it going to be many meetings?
And that's what we're gonna be discussing at the wastewater committee meetings. We have 2 of them upcoming.
But I'll talk to my representative.
Yeah.
Sounds great. All right. Well, thank you. Oh, another question? Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. That's really exciting. I mean, that is a lot of money to come our way for this much needed. Y'all have been working really hard on this, so thank you. It's wonderful to hear. I will move on. If there's nothing else from the PSD, county updates, are there any further updates?
We
or-
got our county update.
Okay.
I did want to mention, we got a $3.5 million grant to raise Central Park Road. And so one of the things we'll be working on, in addition to, it was mentioned in the update. So in addition to that whole Central Park drainage improvement, will be, we now have the funding to improve that. So that was a major issue we've been looking at. In many of these improvement projects, funding is the critical piece. So we're always at a challenge with. And so the county's worked really hard on that. I did want to again mention that Philip Sexton is here. So if you've raised issues or come with questions about drainage, he is the best person to see. He manages all of the jurisdictions regarding any issues of flooding. So for Ferguson Village, I actually have not heard much from my constituents in Ferguson Village. So I'm really glad that you came tonight and I got to hear those concerns, but we definitely want to make sure that those are addressed. And if we have the opportunity, we are working on a Riverland Drive sidewalk project, but if we have the opportunity to extend it beyond north and you all want it in your community, then I think we should look at that. So I'm happy you brought that to our attention. We will definitely look and see what we can do there. But thank you so much.
Yeah, great. And just to add on, I know it's a city county, but Central Park, the city, it has 5 million going towards Central Park. So do you think that'll be fully funded at this point?
I think we're close, if not
Okay.
there. It's the problem is our budgets and our quotes that come in haven't been matching up. So we budgeted items and then the quotes for construction come in super high right now. But yeah, I'm hoping that we are much closer.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you.
Yes. Hi, this is Commissioner Grant. I have a question and a statement.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. First of all, I would like the young lady, the person who was speaking in reference to Ferguson Village. I did not get her name. The connection wasn't clear. What was her name? The speaker that signed in to speak.
Her name was Barbara Goss Brown.
Thank you. And also in reference to the wastewater committee, I'm the chair. Commissioner Latson, I would love for you to have that added to the agenda so we can discuss that further for other communities as well for the May 22nd meeting.
No problem. I'll get with you shortly on that.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you. And again, thank you for all of the road updates from the county. A lot of exciting stuff happening on James Island.
Connectivity.
Yes, connectivity, lights, you know, safety. So it's really great. Thank you.
I have a question about a couple, just to
for
Yes,
clarification.
it came through during ReThink and Katie was on that, so I think we should let her know.
Is that okay?
Sure.
I just wanted to make sure so the multi-use path on Riverland, that's the little segment that's going to Crepe Myrtle. It said multi-use path on the slide, but you said 5 feet. So has the project changed?
So originally it was going to be a shared use path there, due to the funding, use of CTC funds, we can't actually acquire right away with those fundings. It turned out that the existing right away was not such that we could put that 8-foot section in there, we had to scale it back down to a 5-foot sidewalk.
Okay, and then my other question is about the Fort Johnson pedestrian refuge and improvements at the intersection. You mentioned the DOT wanted to combine that with the road safety audit, Dorchester. Road
Yes.
Safety audit. So we completed the audit itself last week. The consultants are writing up the report now. We've got the Folly Road audit next week. So are you envisioning that project will that's gonna sort of wait until both of those audits are completed? And then
They combine together, it would be circumstruction.
Gotcha. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Mayor, did you have something?
Secession bill in Fort Johnson is supposed to be bid out in 2 months.
That's correct, yeah.
So that was one of the ones that was brought up and, questions about, well, yes, it did take 30 years or whatever, but
Yeah.
it looks like it's gonna happen.
It's happening, I know, it's great. All right, well, moving on. City updates. I do have some gentlemen here from the city, so you don't have to hear me ramble on like you did last time, but I'll start, and then if the gentleman from the city, you can help me add on. So obviously, park recreation, as you know, I mean, our recreation programs are fill up fast, which is great. We rely, I just mentioned last night at the city council meeting, we have over 4,000 volunteers that keep our recreation program going and alive. That's how big and great that the need is on James Island, which I think is wonderful. I mean, recreation is so important. And I think that the island, it just continues to grow, and the numbers show the need for it. So I will continue to push for our bond referendum in the city. I think our parks and recreation, I think it's something that we really need. I think it's what the citizens want, but we're still working on that. We have, let's see, the Bradham tract. I know Councilmember Appel on our real estate committee helped acquire that. That's in conjunction with the city as well, and the Open Land Institute. So that's a great piece of property that's going to be along the water. It's going to be a public park, just a wonderful addition to our island. I'm continuing to work, parks. We obviously are we're short-staffed. Everybody's spread thin in the city. So maintenance is an ongoing issue. I'm pushing for those that love recreation. I know I do. We're trying to get these fields up, keep them ready and open for families and everyone to play. It's just staffing is low, but we're looking at some outside contract things right now. So we'll see what happens with that. Let's see, traffic and transportation. Do you want me to let you take it? Do you want me to give you some, throw some out there? Okay. So we, as we just discussed, Fort Johnson and Secessionville, that's really exciting. That was very, very recent, I believe, right? That was very recent. So that's really exciting. I think I already explained during ReThink Folly Road that the kind of efforts that we're moving forward at the city to kind of get that phase 2 process, just to kind of have next steps, have a next step action plan there. We're working on it. Let's see, the city will be adding additional signage at the intersection of Harborview and Affirmation Boulevard, and Harborview and Styles to improve pedestrian safety. Let me stop there. Is there anything, Mr. Wallace, that you want to add from the city?
So that last thing you referenced came for references, and the RFP there, which is where you hit the button and they flag. We did a site visit out there. DOT road, we identified some major signage improvements and some incorrect signage out there. The DOT clarified that issue last week, so that's already taken care of.
Great.
Another thing is working with the county county and county parks. We were able to coordinate the resurfacing of the ramp, the boat ramp at the end of, to ramp there, the LA cover ramp. So that will be resurfaced, one of those streets in that area resurfaced later.
Great, thank you. Moving on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have a question about the restroom over, it's baseball season and the Little League Park over in Fort Johnson still needs a restroom badly, especially with teams beginning to practice and summer season about to begin. How are we doing?
Yeah, thank you. And that's a big component to the bond referendum. So obviously, these were all items that were laid out in the master plan, the master recreation, parks and recreation plan. And that's what we're hoping that, I mean, those are my huge asks. Bathrooms, you know, Ferguson Village has a wonderful, wonderful, it's a smaller bathroom, but it is not a portalet, you know, which is nice. Now that costs about $250,000. I would love to see one of those at all of our parks along Fort Johnson. That would be great, but those are going to be key items that we're targeting in the bond referendum for improvements.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see, I'll move on to stormwater. We have Central Park Road, I can give you I can run down a little more detail I got from Matt Fountain. But basically the design team has completed additional survey, currently updating the model and putting together early construction plans for the culvert road crossings and evaluating options for stabilizing canal banks between Central Park and Houghton with the relatively tight access we have in that area. We're also doing engineering and ecological work to prepare for the USACE permitting processes for adding some level of check valve tide gate into the system. We still have a few months of early design work and then likely 18 to 24 months of permitting efforts. And that is due to the Army Corps of Engineers. That takes quite a while, but it will also be city and DOT. They'll continue to refine the design to be construction ready. My final thing from stormwater, our work off of Shoreham or the Willow Walk, the swale project was completed, as well as one of our buyout lots in there. We've completed the initial grading and are beginning the vegetated planting of the stormwater property retrofit. This work will continue through the month. It is one of our small project allocation work items. And for those of you that don't know, it's in the Willow Walk Oak Crest neighborhood, and it was a lot that was bought out by the city. And what they're turning it into is kind of a rain garden. It's just a really nice ecological, you know, these are very green ways to kind of help hold water in an area that sees a lot of flooding, unfortunately. So it's a really great project and I can't wait until it's done. The community was really excited about it. So it's wonderful that we're moving forward with that. Let's see. Fire Station 7. The remodel was complete. It has been completed. I don't know if you've driven past and seen it, but it's wonderful. We have 15 firefighters there and they are all very happy about the upgrade. Thank you again to the PSD for housing them while the renovations were done. And that is pretty much all I have. Now I do have Christopher Morgan here from planning. Thank you for coming. Maybe if you just want to give us a brief, I know we discussed at the last meeting a couple of upcoming projects, but is there anything else in the works? I know we were told a few things on Folly Road, but any other developments in the works or any updates?
One of the things we're working on is a whole new zoning ordinance for the city of Raleigh. And we will call it elevation-based zoning ordinance. So it encourages less density where elevations are lower and more density where elevations are higher. This is following up on recommendations from our city plan adopted a year and a half ago that called for that type of a zoning. We hired our contractor to work on that, and they've made their first visit to the city last week, and they'll be coming back and working with us for the next year and a half, and hoping to have that ordinance citywide zoning ordinance. We hope to have that ordinance adopted by that's a big project. The water plan is on board. Looking at how we prioritize stormwater projects, where the key drainage issues are, and strategies for those.
we'll have recommendations for that later this year. So that's very quickly. Their infill developments, obviously, as you all see, we'll talk about all product. And gas station. So,
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I apologize, I want to circle back to stormwater. I did have two other, because I did want to answer questions. So you may not know, but during city council meetings, these gentlemen, they have listened to me multiple times about our drainage systems needing maintenance. I will agree that here in this room, intergovernmentally, the multi-jurisdictional challenges are real. What I have found, and I may have said this at the last meeting, I'm throwing it back at Philip Sexton, but he does a fabulous job. I am a city council representative, but I have found that with the multi-jurisdictional layers, a lot of times what I ask my constituents to do is fill out both the city's stormwater request and the county's stormwater request. And then what happened, because you are a city resident, but you are also a county resident. So what I find is that Philip does an absolutely fabulous job at keeping everything organized, keeping everyone in this room, all jurisdictions, as well as our house, our state representatives, our senators, all of that, everybody in the loop to get these projects really zeroed in on and completed. And I really have found a lot of great, it's a great thing. And I don't know if everyone else on this council thinks so, but that is I have given it all to Philip to let him sort of drive that bus, and I see results. Now, that's not to say that I am continuing to fight every other week to get our drainage ditches cleared out. Our system can only work if those, if our culverts are cleared. So I'll continue to work on that. As well as the tree cutting. I know Councilmember Gregory and a lot of other council members, we've been talking about this as well. Like I said, our arborists, we have 4 individuals that take care of the trees for the entire city of Charleston. So just like I was talking about with parks, we are very short staffed. Everyone is spread thin. That's not an excuse. This is just the year that we have to come up with solutions. We can't get to it, we have to come up with solutions at the city. So I'm really, really pushing for that. And that is it. That is all that I have. So thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Any questions? All right, moving on to the 10.
Mark, could you say a few words about the Camp Road drainage basin study that we're doing with the city?
Right. Well, the other projects.
We have a few other drainage projects. I thought we.
All right, Camp Road drainage project, actually, the main part of that starts on Bradford behind the American Legion, goes across Folly, Yorktown, Bishop Gavin, and Outfall, next stage. But there's also a component that's in Centerville across behind Chick-fil-A. Thomas and Hutton has been hired by the town and the city to study the space and come up with, we want to know what's in the ground. We want to know, is it functioning? Is it appropriate for the volume of water we have now? And what needs to be replaced for this? They have done a wonderful job so far. I found out today that they just finished their survey work and are filing the data. So very soon we should have a nice report on that. Moving on to the James Island Creek drainage study. I talked to the consulting engineer this afternoon, and they're still waiting for the state to release the grant. There was paperwork that we could get changed, and the young lady at the state that was running it went to another job. So there's makeup for that. James Island Creek TMDL. We placed all of the data on that on our town website, and we just had some more testing data come in a day ago. And so once we get that looked at, we'll put that on there as well. But preliminary looking, the numbers are down, I mean, way down. Remember before the Harborview Road Bridge, sewers bill, we had collection numbers of over 8,000 colonies in the Petri dish. Now it's less than 10. So that was a major problem. Big thing. For handling that. Ongoing drainage project, we have Ocean View Stone Coast drainage. The contractor's working on that, and he is, his next step is to change up the cross lines under Stone Coast Road, and he is waiting for Dominion to come back and finish marking a gas line. They went halfway of what they were supposed to do, was headed in the middle of this project, did not continue on, and it was safe to him until he knows where that gas line is. I guess. Quail Run Drainage Project, Highwood Circle Drainage, and Green Hill Honey Hill Drainage Project, they were all put out for bid. There were no interested contractors. We're going to try again, possibly bundling with some other projects or asking contractors further away. Basically, it's what we've been hearing. Contractors are very busy. They have enough work right now. And so little projects like ours are getting done.
So these projects, well, we don't know what they bid for, but several $1 million. And it's all ARP. It has to be spent by 2026.
And I got some clarification on that.
Yeah. If you approach for the bid, redirect some less of, incident.
Yeah, I told our engineering firm to do that. Don't go after the big guys if they're busy working on items.
Then when we have to spend.
Yeah. So, we're trying to be creative with that. Let's see, heard about the Dillsborough sidewalk that the county's managing for us. The next phase of that, which is phase 4, Johnson Lashover and Associates is working on plans for that. That carries it from Condon Drive down to Fort Sumter to Harborview Road. So we'll have connectivity with all those neighborhoods. Basically, this little section of the island. We've got a road sidewalk. The town is getting the last property owners to sign temporary access agreements, and then it'll be ready to go out to bid. We're doing that tomorrow. And we'll be happy to know the radar sign was knocked down on Fort Johnson and Michael Drive. We are in the process of fixing that. We have a contractor, and we're going to be sending the unit that was run over back to the radar sign company, so they refurbish it to make sure that it's functional and not dangerous. So that's what we are on those projects.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great stuff. Anything else? All right, well, that pretty much wraps it up, unless there is anything else. Does anyone have anything else for the council? Yes.
Well, now that the school district is part of this committee, I won't talk about all the things that we deal with teaching and learning, but there is infrastructure issue that you all may want to think about. In the bond referendum, there was money set aside to develop an early childhood center here on James Island. And the initial thought was that the early childhood center would be at the old Camp Road Middle School. But there's been some discussion in the community, and the district will be having some community engagement sessions to talk about whether or not this community, because the bond referendum went through with focus on early childhood education, which is really important. And the model that was proposed in the referendum was to build a series of early childhood centers throughout the whole county. So the question that we're starting to hear some comments on is that the model that we need on James Island. So where that discussion has been going is, do we want to have an early childhood center in the center of our island at the Camp Road facility? Or would the community want the school district to look at having the pre-K kindergarten at the neighborhood schools. And one of the, thoughts about that is transportation and traffic on the island is a concern. And when you start working with parents, you start seeing them be at this daycare, then at this, elementary school, then going to the middle school. So it creates a lot of traffic on the island. So that's kind of a discussion that's going to come about. I will let you know when the meetings are scheduled and you may want to, think about attending it, because it is something that would affect the whole island. And we do know that there's a need for early childhood education. It's just what would be the best model for our community. We know that the early childhood center up in North Charleston for Mary Ford is great. It's really working for their community, but there has been some concern whether that particular model is good for Charleston County. That's the infrastructure piece that I think would be relative to this group.
Great. Will you let us know when those next
Yes.
sessions are and we can circulate it?
Mhm.
Okay, great. I just want to drop this on you because we've been hot and I know I'm going off agenda here a little, but the city's been in discussion, obviously, a lot of discussion with Union Pier. James Allen Elementary, I guess there is property behind James Allen Elementary that is owned by the district.
Mhm.
So I just want you to put this in your mind, in your back pocket. There have been discussions, or if there are possibilities to talk about affordable housing back there. I know it's been brought up. I know the school district will have some say in Union Pier down the road, but I just wanted to kind of pick your ear about that as far as James Island, because I know we've been hearing teachers can't afford to live on the island.
Well, and that's true. If you look at the number of teachers that we have in our schools, a lot of our teachers are not able to live in this community. And I don't know about you, but I believe in strong neighborhood schools. And part of that is having the teachers in our community tied to our community. So it's a very important thing.
Okay, just wanted to put that out there. But
Is there a plan to actually use that affordable housing for teachers? Because that
no,
would be
there's
wonderful.
there is no plan for affordable housing,
Yeah, that's a shame.
on James Island. I'm just saying the city pushes very hard for it. We see a lot of it on the peninsula. We don't see it on James Island. I'm just saying that conversation could change. We don't know. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with Union Pier, but I know the school district, if there is property, there could be discussions. So that might be a little more for our intergovernmental council, but I figured I'd drop it here since we're all together. I will just leave with this, if it's okay. Ms. Crouch, thank you for joining us. I know you. Thank you. I just wanted to take your word for a second, collaboration. I do think that is the key to this intergovernmental council. You've said it multiple times, and I truly it sits with me. And I think that if we, it's what will get things done on James Island, as we can see. I mean, sitting in this room tonight, there's so much happening on James Island. So the key is collaboration, talking with one another, sharing ideas. It doesn't have to be pass the buck, someone else's responsibility. We are all here to work together. So I think if we can agree on making,
It's Jack. Collaboration and cooperation. This is the first time that we all have come together, and whatever we've had, we have buried it. So we're working very nicely together. Our new district manager is doing a fantastic job bringing everyone together. So I am indeed touched. Thank you.
yes. So I think if we can agree on making that our key focus for 23 and onward, we're going to see great momentum and great things on James Island. So thank you, everyone. Meeting adjourned. The next meeting is July 26th here at 7 p.m. and we do not have a date set for the James Island Creek Task Force yet. So thank you.